The Trump-Canada relationship started off on the right foot and with a strong handshake, a reassuring sign given Trump's previous string of awkward embraces.
We have a very outstanding trade relationship with Canada.
But Justin Trudeau's charm offensive appears to have worn off, and the list of Trump's beefs with Canada is only growing. First, there's NAFTA.
I've never been a NAFTA fan, as you know. NAFTA's been a terrible deal for the United States, one of the worst trade deals in history. The fact is, NAFTA, whether it's Mexico or Canada, is a disaster for our country.
The Trump administration argues NAFTA wiped out 700,000 American manufacturing jobs, insisting the trade deal made it easy for U.S. companies to pack up and move to Mexico, where labor is cheaper. But there is debate over whether the job losses were actually NAFTA's fault, or whether automation meant companies could simply be more productive with fewer workers. Then there's dairy.
They don't take our farm products, many of them, and it's very unfair to our farmers, and it's very unfair to the people of our country.
Trump has a problem with Canada's supply management system. Since the 1970s, this country has protected its farming industry. American farmers can send some dairy products into Canada tariff-free, but if they surpass a quota, then they're subject to tariffs of up to nearly 300%. Trump says that hurts the U.S. Farm Belt. But the U.S. government protects its dairy industry too, through about $20 billion a year in direct subsidies. All that said, they all might be making a mountain out of a molehill. U.S.-Canada dairy trade represents less than 0.1% of the entire trading relationship. Next, there's softwood.
We'll be putting a very big tariff on lumber, timber coming into this country. People don't realize Canada's been very rough on the United States. Everyone thinks of Canada as being wonderful, and so do I. I love Canada. But they've outsmarted our politicians for many years.
Last year, Trump slapped tariffs on Canadian softwood worth about 20%. This isn't new. The U.S. has long argued Canada unfairly subsidizes the lumber industry. That's because most logging happens on Crown land. South of the border, it happens almost entirely on private land. So the cost to harvest, the so-called stumpage fee, is higher for American producers. Finally, there's NATO.
We strongly support NATO. We only ask that all of the NATO members make their full and proper financial contributions to the NATO alliance, which many of them have not been doing. Either they pay up, including for past deficiencies, or they have to get out. And if it breaks up NATO, it breaks up NATO.
For years, Canada's defense spending has been among the lowest in NATO. In 2014, all NATO members agreed to work towards spending 2% of their GDP on defense by 2024. Last year, the Liberals pledged to boost spending by 70% over the next decade. But even if that actually happens, it will still only bring Canada's total defense spending to just 1.4% of its GDP. The feds argue it's not about cash, but how countries contribute to NATO, like, for example, through troop deployment. NATO, NAFTA, dairy, and softwood. There's a lot that bothers Donald Trump about Canada. And believe it or not, the list could grow. Trump isn't even halfway through his 4-year mandate.